It is a beautiful, sunny, brisk October early afternoon here in Ventura, California. It is Thursday. It is 1 o'clock. It is the 28th day of October 2021, and I am your guide to all the tabletop role-playing game news, weather, sports, conspiracy, sarcasm, and general nonsense. The OG GM, and we are continuing our look at all the basic root races from the Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition Player's Handbook. And today we look at the gnome. 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 Gnome on the rain. Wait, the D, you know that was coming, right? Gnomes appeared probably when first... Okay, well, there was one point in time where illusionist was a separate class from wizard. That lasted for about 5 seconds, and then they realized, no, let's just make illusionists something wizards can specialize. And about the same time, they introduced gnomes. And when they first introduced gnomes, they were sort of a alternate to the halflings. They were the same height, same weight. Gnomes appear throughout all sorts of different cultures, mythology. You know, garden gnomes, the guys with the little red hats. David the gnome. A lot of mythology sort of switch gnomes and dwarves back and forth. So when gnomes were first introduced, they were sort of introduced so you could have a class and a race that was specifically designed around illusions. So they were sort of this trickster, illusionist race. And then they changed to be more of a down-home, David the Gnome, protectors of the wilderness race. And then Tinker Gnomes were introduced, and so we had to have gnomes that are a little bit more crazy, mad scientist race. And now we have gnomes who are sort of a combination of all of that. So, because there's 2 standard variants to gnomes, one standard variant sort of focusing more on the protector of the wilderness, stay at home, David the gnome, friend of animals type of gnome, and the other focusing more of the sort of mad scientist tinker gnome. The crazy illusionist gnome has sort of gone away, though they are definitely built to be more spellcaster friendly. Of course, there are now lots of variants in the other books, like Tasha's and Vecna's and Elminster's and Mordecainan. So if you want to continue with this experiment, we will look at the alternate races in some of the other books. But right now, this is gnomes as they stand. In 5th edition, a constant hum of busy activity parades the warrens and neighborhoods where gnomes form their close-knit communities. Louder sounds punctuate the home, a crunch of grinding gears here, a minor explosion there, a yelp of surprise or triumph, and especially bursts of laughter. Gnomes take delight in life, enjoying every moment of invention, exploration, investigation, creation, and play. So see, we sort of have a combination of mad scientist, very exuberant, sort of the alternate to halflings. But if you get down to the builds, first we have standard gnome, +2 to intelligence. We're going to ignore age, alignment, and size because those rules don't matter anymore. Speed, base 5 feet, because I guess you're short, so you can't move as fast. I don't really never understood that. They get dark vision, standard 60 feet, black and white, bright, stuff like that. Okay, here's the really good one, which surprises me why more people don't play gnomes. Gnome Cunning. You have advantage in all intelligence, wisdom, and charisma saving throws against magic. So that's 75% of every spell that isn't directly a jump out of the way spell like lightning bolt is going to require one of those 3. Usually intelligence save. Anything that's going to mess with your mind is going to be a wisdom save. Very rarely do you run into charisma saves. There's a few things that do charisma saves. Psionics, I think, do charisma saves. Any spell that's going to affect you, like toxic gas, is going to be a constitution save. Any spell you have to jump away from is going to be a dex save. I don't think there's any spells that require a strength save, except for maybe like crushing rock spell. I don't know. So of the 5 that you're going to be making the most spells, 3 of which you're getting advantage on. And dex saves advantage on, you just take a class that gives you advantage in dex saves, or you pick up the resistance feat. Same with the con saves. You either pick up the resistance feat, which is what I do usually when I'm playing a gnome, or you just play a class that gives you advantage in con saves. But that intelligence, wisdom, charisma, this right here, this is huge, which makes me wonder why more people don't play gnomes. Or do they? I mean, maybe just I don't never run into people playing gnomes. Maybe lots of people do. Languages, you can read, write, blah, blah. Common and Gnomish. Gnomish language, which uses the Dwarvish script, is renowned for its technical treatises and catalog of knowledge about the nature world. So then we have the deep gnomes and the rock gnomes. So the deep gnomes get a bonus of +1 to intelligence. They have the superior dark vision. Then they have stone camouflage. You have advantage on dexterity stealth checks to hide in rocky terrain. We have the rock gnomes, who are +1 to constitution. They have artificer's lore. Whenever you make an intelligence history check related to magic items, alchemist objects, or technological devices, you can add twice your proficiency bonus instead of any proficiency bonus you normally apply. So, of course, if you're running in a game where there are no magical or alchemical devices, this is going to be sort of useless unless the DM says that traps are technological devices. But the bonus against magic items, that's pretty cool. Then we have Tinker. Here we go. Here's your Tinker gnome. You have proficiency with the artisan tools, Tinker tools. Using these tools, you can spend 1 hour and 10 gold pieces worth of materials to construct a teeny clockwork device. Armor class 5, 1 hit point. These device ceases to function after 24 hours unless you spend 1 hour repairing it, or when you use an action to dismantle it. At that time, you can reclaim the material used to create it. You can have up to 3 such devices active at each time. When you create a device, choose one of the following options. Clockwork Toy. This toy is a clockwork animal, monster, or person, such as a frog, mouse, bird, dragon, or soldier. When placed on the ground, the toy moves 5 feet across the ground on each of your turns in a random direction. It makes noises as appropriate to the creature it represents. Fire starter. This device produces a miniature flame, which you can use to light candle, torch, or campfire. Using the device requires your action. Yes, gnomes have lighters. Music box. When opened, this music box plays a single song at a moderate volume. The box stops playing when it reaches the song's ends or when it's closed. So basically, you can get a Roomba, a lighter, or a music box. I assume most people probably take Clockwork Toy or Fire Starter, because there's a lot of things you could do with a wind-up toy, set off traps, distract monsters, stuff like that. Now, I believe there's one more. Maybe I'm wrong. Oh, yes, Forest Gnome. I knew there was one more. Dexterity score goes up by 1. Natural Illusionist. You know the Minor Illusion cantrip. Intelligence is your spellcasting modifier, so you can cast Minor Illusion for free. And speak with small beasts. Through sound and gestures, you may communicate simple ideas with smaller beasts. All right, so here we have your protector with nature, but also a little bit of the trickster in it with the illusionist. Here we have your Tinker Gnome. Here we have the Deep Gnome, who I guess, I don't know why they added Deep Gnomes, other than they're really good at being thieves. I guess because there's deep elves? And there were some Sniffleflibbin. I think there should be a rule that if you can't say the name, you can't play that race. Sniffleflibbin, whatever, you know what it means. Which then became, I guess, the player character Deep Gnomes. Originally, they were just evil gnomes because, you know, there were evil dwarves and evil elves that lived in the Underdark, so we had to assume that there were also evil gnomes that lived in the Underdark, and every race that lived on the surface had an evil underground counterpart, which is, I guess, why they introduced these, and then later on they said, hey, maybe we should make them a possible player character race. Sort of like in that movie Us, where we all have copies living underground waiting to take over. They never did explain why, though, those clones existed, but we apparently all have them. So there you go, the gnome. And as you look at the builds, you can see the evolution of the race till where it stands today, from its original illusion happy trickster to its protector of the forest to its mad scientist tinker gnome to back to what it is today, sort of a combination of both. The forest protector, crazy illusionist, and mad scientist seems to sort of drifted away from the protector of the forest beast friend riding on Wolf David the gnome, and focusing more, at least the way it's described here, as either the trickster illusionist gnome or the tinker gnome. Though, I don't know, speak with small beasts, that has a lot of uses and is awesome. Plus the ability to minor illusion. I mean, I don't know why you'd have that, though. Being able to cast minor illusion at will is also pretty broken if you use it correctly. Yeah, gnomes are weird. I feel like they, as the race, they never really knew what to do with or what they were trying to emulate. Because they're just sort of a hodgepodge of dwarf, halfling, trickster. I don't know. But there you go. There's the gnome. If you appreciate this and want to see more, let me know. If you never want to see me do this ever again, let me know. We've got, I think, 2 more to go. We've got Tiefling and Dragonborn, and then we'll be done with the basic player's handbook. I'll have to check to be sure. And then we'll move on to some of the weird alternative races from the other books, like half human, half elephant, half human, half angel, half human, half genie, and of course, half human, half carrot. Gnome.